Hi, my name is Dan, and in this video, which is part of a series on blueprint scripting in Unreal, we're going to look at some built-in essential blueprints in Unreal. So what I've got here is a standard third-person template map. I've got a little blueprint here, but I'm not going to use that, so that's of no consequence. So in Unreal, as well as all the things that you create that happen in your world and all your blueprints, there are some that are essential for the workings of Unreal, and we're going to go and have a look at what those are. So I've just clicked on projects settings, and it's in the project settings, and if we click on maps and modes, there's various bits of information in here. There's stuff about multiplayer, there's stuff about the default maps that are in use. And up here and down here is what we're going to look at. So there's the default modes and the game instance. So the game mode is a class that you can change live whilst the game is playing. And this represents the idea of changing maybe mode of control or if the game has mini games or something. So a classic one that I always think of is in the Grand Theft Auto games. I don't know if you played them or not, but you can run around the world or you can drive around the world in a car. And if that was being created in Unreal, that transition between being on foot and being in a car would be a transition for game mode, because it means you got a different control system, you got a different HUD, heads-up display, you're controlling a different element in there, and there's other things that can go along with that. So for each game mode that you've got in your game, you can set various other aspects of it. So there's the default pawn class, so that's the thing that you see on screen that's being controlled. There's the controller class, which actually accepts the input and interprets it. There's the HUD class, which gives you the display on your screen of information to do with the game. And then down here, there's some extra classes. There's a GameState class, a PlayerState class, and a spectator class. And these are all to do with multiplayer gaming, so I'm going to skip over those. Now, one of the things that's important to know about these is that there's a drop-down box next to them, and you can choose different pawns, for example, and there's various different choices there. And in the maps and modes, what happens? Yes, you can choose different modes. But of course, being Unreal, there is the ability for you to create your own and to override those default classes and to plug your own in. And the one that we're actually going to look at is this one that I haven't mentioned yet, which is the GameInstance class. So by default, it uses the default GameInstance class, but you can create your own and plug it in, and we'll show you how to do that. And the thing that's important about the GameInstance class is that this is a place where you can keep information which stays persistent regardless of what mode you're in the game. So you could change from running a vehicle to riding a horse to whatever you might be doing. It's independent of which level you're in. So once you change the map, this still stays permanent between. And when I first started doing stuff in Unreal, I struggled to find the correct place to keep information that's persistent across the game, no matter which map you're in or everything else. And eventually I found this is the one. It's the GameInstance class. Right? So what I'm going to do actually is just a quick demonstration of creating your own class, and this will be a GameInstance class, and plug that in and making it work. So I'm going to right-click and tell it I'm going to create a blueprint class. And instead of clicking on actor, I'm going to go down to all classes here. I'm going to type in GameInstance. GameInstance. There we go. So the class that I'm creating has got a parent of the GameInstance, so it derives from GameInstance. And anywhere you could plug in a GameInstance, you could plug in my own class because of polymorphism. So I'm going to call it my instance. It's not very imaginative. I'm going to open that up. And in here, I'm just going to do a quick little bit of scripting so that we can tell that it's my instance that's effective. Unfortunately, you don't have access to things like event tick in my instance because it's not an actor. So what the event we're going to use is the event init. So this is one that is triggered off when the game starts, or in fact, actually when this class has been initialized. And all we're going to do is we're going to make that delay for a few seconds, for 5 seconds, and then talk to us. So do print string. Okay. And I'm just going to get it to say boom. So this is as if there was a bomb that was waiting to go off. Okay. Now, this is quite a facile example of how you would use the game instance. You'd probably use something else to do this if you were going to. But actually, what you might want to be storing in the game instance is something like an overall game score. And you would have functions that allow you access to that. But we haven't done inter-script communication yet in the series of videos, so I'm just doing something really simple. So I'm going to compile that. And then the next thing that I need to do is I need to plug it in. So I need to tell Unreal that this is the instance we want to use instead of the standard one. So I'm going to go back to the project settings, and we want to be in maps and modes, as we were. And then in the drop-down box next to Game Instance, it's got my instance there as an option. It always checks to see what classes are available in the project. So that's been plugged in, it's been saved and compiled. Hopefully when we play it, this is what happens. So there should be a 5-second delay, which is about enough time for me to say this, and then boom, text has come up on there. So that's how to create your own game instance and how to plug it in. These different things, the game modes and the game HUD. There's going to be a video on the HUD coming very soon. There'll be interscript communication stuff in another video. So the use of these classes is going to happen more and more as we go through this series of videos. This is just a quick introduction to it. So that is it from me for now.